Lexi Tatman, the star of Teen Mom, Young and Pregnant, is given justice when the funeral director stole her grandfather's organs. Organ theft isn't something you regularly hear about among Teen Mom stars, but for Lexi Tatman, a former cast member of Young and Pregnant, this dread was a reality. Megan Hess and her mother Shirley Koch, according to The Sun, were accused of illegally transporting infected cadavers, as some corpses tested positive for illnesses and were transferred without appropriate warnings. Shirley received a 15-year sentence, while Megan received a 20-year prison term. Court documents describe their procedures. First, a large number of victims had their money stolen by the operation. Simply put, court documents show that the defendants knowingly neglected to give hundreds of victims and their families with a legally guaranteed cremation. The victims instead paid hundreds or thousands of dollars for cremation services that the defendants repeatedly failed to deliver. Hess and her mother frequently provided cremains that weren't from the family's deceased member, lying to the victims and their next of kin in the process. This makes the crime a typical bait-and-switch scam. The defendants also collaborated to steal the victims' bodies, which caused misery for the relatives who were left behind. This case is significantly worse than a typical fraud case in this regard. Some of the victims were horrified to learn from law enforcement that the cremains they were holding were not actually from their deceased family member, and that their loved one's body had been sold on the secondary market. Lexi stated on Instagram that she would never forgive the pair for their deeds. "I say this from a place of utter hatred. I'll never be able to forgive," and her mother said. "Lexi, tell me I can't find serenity, please. You are not familiar with how this feels, and just know that no horror film could ever be worse than this." She continued, "Justice was served today. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who helped sentence these barbarians. I'm sorry to any additional victims of theirs. I regret that we must put up with her awful deeds every day. I'm sorry we're all in this situation. I'm sorry this was our encounter with funeral homes as well. I hope that regardless of whether we choose to forgive, we can all find a way to live with this. Grief will always be a part of our lives. We appreciate the court taking the time to hear all the stories about our loved ones."